Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. I hope you are doing well.
I am blessed. Hope you are doing well.
You've taken over
fantastic.
the good morning with so much verve.
I was watching us on Facebook Live yesterday after we finished.
Yes.
And I realized that Raymond's good morning is, another thing altogether.
Yeah. Good morning. I am very well. How are you two?
But let's say a good morning to the Ghana Outstanding Woman of the Year,
Anymore.
Ifya Pokuya.
Wonderful.
Yes. Vim.
She has brought all the Vim to the
Good morning,
Outstanding
good
Woman
morning,
Awards.
good
Goa,
morning.
Vim won the award at the Goa Awards. If you are familiar with any of her Facebook, of any of his social media handles, you've been seeing some very, very electric pictures online.
Electric.
Yes. Yes. Congratulations to you. She built a school block for the children of Aminam, where children were sitting and writing on concrete blocks. You want to share with us why you are laughing, Raymond? Because the whole world now hears you laugh.
No, the outstanding part is that my attention has been drawn to the fact that this is the Sawam edition of the
news review. Brought to you by kind courtesy of Daniel Dazi. Ably assisted by Araba Kumsi.
Hey, you brought Araba into that. The Coco is also important.
You people are not friendly people at all in this world. And I will say it on air.
Yes.
I saw Kofi Ansah slip a piece of paper.
Yes, of course. We are
so
under
Kofi Ansah is the
direction.
one who named this. Kofi. Hey, he's not even looking at my phone. Kofi.
So this is Joy 99.7 FM, and you're tuned in to the Nkoko version of the news review.
Yes.
So there is Nkoko. Okay, you listen.
It's Sawam Nkoko version
Yes.
of the news review this morning.
let's
Why
do
are you
first.
trying to
Okay,
interrupt?
I'll do the
our
front page,
flow?
but people don't understand that. Yes, people don't understand that.
Why
The
is-
reality is that you were supposed to go for a full out in Sawam. You ended up in Koko. 3 or so hours later, you have to come back to Sawam. And the excuse he was given is that he thought in Koko was in Sawam.
Yes.
Sawam was in Koko. I mean, how on earth does that even become
I
possible?
mean, a percent boy will never do this.
Never on earth, not on this end.
Never.
Not at all. It is only when you school the Pereman AS that you do this.
Never. Okay, so the headlines. I'll
Yes,
start
please.
with the Ghanaian
Please
Times.
do.
Okay.
Hey, they were sitting by me so kindly this morning.
Who have you put
They were
up our
sitting by me
mic?
so kindly this morning. Guys, let's do the front page.
The front page of the Ghanaian Times. 7 perish in gory crash. 12 others injured. Calm returns to GIJ. Students given another opportunity to register after the protest. President tours Accra today. And NDC opens nomination for flag bearership race amidst controversy.
Now, Ghana loses 2.7 meter squares of coastline annually. This, according to the Environment Minister. An animal farm, NDC crying wolf. Bail us out of killer fees. NDC aspirants resort to silver collection. That's on the front page of the Chronicle.
On the front page of the Today, GRA chases churches over taxes. Rollins weeps for NDC, says party is being sold to the highest bidder. And NDC aspirant takes on the media.
Now, Daily Guide is reporting this morning petrol prices drop. Wyoming fate hangs and minority rejects drone deal. And Rollins has a big statement on the front page. Only thieves can pay 420,000 NDC killer fees. Only thieves.
Only thieves.
So if you pay, you are a thief.
On the front page of the Daily Graphic, free zones boosts economy, exports over $1 billion in 9 months. Ghana police wins 12-unit Redco flat case. Asawase NDC group picks forms for John Mahama. On the back page of the Daily Graphic, persons with disabilities demand access to public buildings as they observe Disability Day.
The Graphic Business is reporting this morning, adhere to strong corporate governance, you caused it. Dr. Addison accuses predecessors of bank failures. You caused it. And that's also on the front page with government must review fertilizer subsidy program. This is an expert on agric speaking.
On the front page of the Daily Statesman, first test on HIV blood vindicates Komfo Anokye. There's a feature on living with disability in Ghana. Also, NDC hopefuls enraged claim bias in favor of John Mahama. And President Akufo-Addo begins the Greater Accra tour today.
The Finder is my very last paper. It says disaster looms. Parts of Achimota Odo drain washed away and snake to retrieve $25 million from IT solution vendors. Teacher sues GES headmaster over sodomy accusations. And there's one. More NDC members pledge to pay Bagbe's filing fee. Badmin must contest. That's on the front page of
Badmin must contest. And on the front page of the new Crusading Guide, confusion rocks NDC as gang of 8 fight executive over Congress structure. Aggrieved presidential aspirants didn't pay a dime for NDC internal elections. That's according to Adekoka. And drama at Kwabenya as rival families fight over traditional title.
So let's start with this issue at Achimota, the Achimota Odo drain.
So this drain was built in 2006, at least this final section of it. The drain was to make sure that we actually, at that time, knowing that we were going to have a huge problem with flooding, have waterways that links directly to the sea. But it is in a very terrible state now, especially around Abofum. Specifically, parts of that particular drain have been washed away. So the concrete slabs that actually separate the soil at the other end from it, that makes the deeper ends have been broken off. So the water now has these different paths to take if it gets to that section. It can go into people's rooms, it can go into people's houses, it can go whichever direction it goes. And when it rains like the way it does for like 4 or 5 hours, people start experiencing the flooding right away. So this was our earlier solution to the flooding problem. But it looks like instead of building on that, because that was just phase 1, in 2011, we plan to go into the Conti project. There are 2 phases. Completion of this phase 1 of the drains and building more drains in the second phase. And thirdly, doing excavation, also dredging were part of the plan. If I'm going forward, we only started with the dredging. We never built the drains. Even in the 2017 budget, we said we were going to build these drains in Accra, and we didn't do it. Perhaps we're waiting for a recurrence of the June 3rd event. Perhaps we're waiting for more flooding to happen, losing lives, and we come back and say that, oh, we are recommitted. Because after June 3rd, we recommitted ourselves to building the drains again. We dedicated huge amounts of money. It was 50 million to just dealing with the problem entirely, 30 for solving other problems, and 20 to make sure that the roads and other things are fixed. But we are here today talking about the old drains that were built in 2006 being completely destroyed. And this is important because from all the evidence that we have, the pattern of rainfall we had before is not going to be followed. We are in December. We still have rain in December. We should tell you a story about how the standards have changed when it comes to the weather we used to know. What is left is a state being unprepared to deal with these issues. And maybe we are waiting for the next big disaster before we fix it once and for all. But until then, any slight drop, the people of Abufu and all the other areas, their homes are completely flooded. They have to struggle to scoop out the water because they have nowhere to go. And if they are lucky, they may not lose as many lives as they lost in times past.
But Senima, that's not the only place we have erosion, is it?
No, it's not. So Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng, the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, has been speaking as well about the fact that we're committed to halting coastal erosion. He's saying that about 2.7 meters square of shoreline is being lost annually due to sea erosion, making costs for coastal infrastructure enormous. He also said that the government is committing more than $200 million to address coastal erosion in hotspots, and 150 million of that is coming from is going to the Western region coastal fronts. He also said that the demand of increasing commerce, industrialization have imposed a great pressure on the sea and its resources. And if we're not serious about it, to try and do something about it, it will not go very well for us. And this also ties in with the fact that there is the United Nations sponsored climate talks going on as well in Poland. And the Secretary General has said about climate change that it's a matter of life and death for many countries. Also, the World Bank has announced $200 billion in funding over the next 5 years that will support countries that are taking action against climate change. So there's a lot of climate change talk, and presumably Trump is still oblivious?
Yeah, he is still in his own world. But here in Ghana, our national communications, which the APA leads, in this case, tells us how far we've come with putting in place measures by way of mitigating the effects of climate change. And on the other side, what are we doing to adapt to the changing environment? I don't see much. We seem to always report that we are putting in place measures to make sure it's fixed and all of that. This amount of money she just quoted, we could access huge chunk of it, make major developments, promote agri and other ecosystems that can make us evolve and get better in that space. But we're just not trying to do the small things. So we can build big drains with the man, because if you recall that time, it was almost 200 million that we were looking for to fix the entire Conti project, including the Kole Lagoon Ecological Restoration Program. which is currently still not being done anyway.
This is $200 million.
Yes.
For me, we have an opportunity as a nation because we are not fully urbanized, and so we can easily control how development goes on in parts of the country where it hasn't. But for places like Accra, where urbanization has taken place and is taking place rapidly, it looks like most of our problems are man-made. I mean, you look at the Wager Ridge, for instance, where it's threatening to collapse into the road, as the EPA has told us. A lot of that is going on because of sand winning and the development of people who are building there. And so you ask yourself, really, where are the regulators and where are the people who are supposed to keep the average Ghanaians safe from themselves, safe from their own selves? And that's just where my mind is this morning. But let's move quickly from that subject, Raymond.
It is set to reduce on $25 million from IT solution vendors. So it says after its review of its entire ICT infrastructure, it's seen two things: where it can cut down the cost, and secondly, where it can actually recoup some amount of money on recurrent support and maintenance expenditure. This is to ensure that they are frugal with the money of the pensioners in this country, so that people at least can get enough of the money that's required for them to live. In fact, this amount includes 15.2 million to be claimed from the IT solution specific vendors, and the trust also reduced 6.9 million from a software provider. In all of this, we know that IT talks big time. We brought you that particular story where SNIT seemed to have had some huge 92, sometimes 72. They mentioned different amounts for it in this particular case.
Yes.
But they're saying that they know where to cut the cost, and also to make sure, that issue is before court. Some of them, a huge number of people have been charged, including Ernest Thompson, and being put before court.
And
on
Caleb
the matter.
and the rest of them.
Yes. Now, there's another link to that. They say that in order to make sure that they're using your money well, they are now flying economy class.
That's
yes,
very.
they are
You
not
know
going
what?
to, yes,
You know what?
do business again.
I found something, yes, and it's very funny. I found it on StatsGH on Twitter yesterday, and I'm going to show you exactly how much we spend. It's terrible. Look at this. It costs about 2,175 Ghana cedis to fly economy to London from Accra on a regular day. The same flight will charge 14,555 Ghana cedis for business class. That is about 6 times more. Ghanaian ministers of state on a regular fly business class. And this was from a sample of 3 top airlines for this analysis. So 14,555 minus 2,175. I mean, even if it was 14 minus 2, that's be a saving of 12,000 cedis just for how they choose.
Yeah.
And so, please, kudos to the people of SNIT. Of course, it remains to be seen if we can check it for ourselves and see if that is the actual.
But there was a similar directive by government for them to also not fly business, but they should go economy. That's for ministers. I remember even in John Mohammed's time, they said that no, don't fly. Come for review from office of the president before you go ahead.
That was don't fly at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this president also came up with it. Don't fly at all.
Yeah.
Yes, but please, how to fly, please. Let's look at saving a little money.
That's true.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay, so we've been following this story very keenly, and Raymond brought it up in the headlines as well, as about the 400,000 cedi filing fee for the NDC. Well, former President Rawlings has expressed concern about the increase in the filing fee, and he's calling on the party's national executive to take a second look at the decision. I'm going to read exactly what he said, so quote unquote. He says that certain actions or decisions could either be a reflection of the circumstances of NDC's birth or mark a departure from where we are coming from as a party. He says, I doubt if any one of us who has served with integrity, relying on our own salaries, can raise these filing fees unless we engage in some unethical behavior while in office, unless we abused or misused our positions during our tenure, the founder said. So that's what President Rawlings is saying. He's also saying that he feels as if the party is being handed over to the highest bidder, and that was also another headline. We know that 8 of the 12 people who are aspiring for this position have decided to boycott the picking of nomination forms and have petitioned the former president to intervene, and so he has to some extent.
So before you go ahead, Raymond, because
Yes.
I know you're going to talk about Mr. Alban Bagbin,
Yes.
let's hear Kojo Bonsu, who is also an aspirant currently. He was speaking on PM Express last night.
There's a better way of fundraising. Let me give you an example. In the UK, last year, 2016, the Labour Party was able to raise 14.4 million UK pounds. And we have the same ideology. It's a social democratic party. Why don't we adapt the model and do it here to make sure that the party has money? But this is a lazy way of trying to collect monies from aspirants to raise. And are you going to get it? My question is, are you getting enough?
And that's Kojo Bonsu speaking with Evan Smith on PM Express last night. We'll be bringing you more of that conversation later on the show. Ekos Pio Gabra was also on the show, and he'll be telling us exactly what he thinks as well. But Raymond, let's talk about Alban Bagbin.
Yes. Now, we all thought Bagbin could not raise the money because he said, for cash, he doesn't have it. He cannot raise it. So they want him to drop out of the race. But now, people are coming to his aid. Now, former MPs and current MPs, we know, for example, his own man, Joseph Nabu, the MP for Usual, in a statement has said that one former MPs, including some 40 former MPs, former and current, but one person who's come out to say that he's one of the current MPs who really have supported the quest is Bediame Gershon, who is the MP from Kwanta South. He says that he's giving money to support Bagbin. Yes, we understand that some people in the United States too, who are some executives of the party in the United States, are also supporting that quest by Bagbin to be on to pick up the nomination for and pay the 420,000. In fact, he also mentions that a group, some NDC members in America too, have also supported the claim, and 5,000 grassroots supporters are also putting money together to make sure that Mahama's own, it was quick, MPs 420 people, now they have more money involved, but he is raising 5,000 people also coming up to support his quest in this case. And Bagbin has not issued one of those electronic methods yet. We know Alabi has one, Spio has one, Mahama has one, to make sure that they all garner enough money to enter the race.
Interesting. It's also a show of strength, isn't it? That if I have this much supporters on the ground ready to commit funds to my campaign, it means, or to my filing, it means that really I am popular within the ranks. So let's see how this pans out between Mr. Mahama and Mr. Bagbin. But anymore, let's talk about the anti-corruption week now. Very important.
Yes.
Week.
So the Minister of Planning and Professor George Jan Bafo he was at this anti-corruption. So it's a whole week dedicated to anti-corruption policies, and he is saying that our desire to develop without focusing on aid will be threatened if we do not get the fight against corruption right. So December 9th is Anti-Corruption Day. This year's theme is winning the fight against corruption, a panacea for Ghana beyond aid. And they're looking at a lot of things: the digitization of port processes, the clearing of goods, introduction of online passport forms, implementation of the transparent allocation of oil blocks, and a lot of other things that will make things more transparent, so that corruption is less likely to happen.
But we want a special prosecutor who bites.
Yeah, no, but he also did mention the 180 million for the special prosecutor.
And the fact that the LI will be ready soon. He also mentioned that they'll be rebuilding the Benz Now Shraj building.
Yes.
He was speaking there. I think Ifo Evans Shidri reported on the on Joy News today. Yesterday. Okay, Raymond.
Now, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Addison, has for the first time, for a very long time, been very bold and daring in his speech about what really caused it. He's been taking a swap at his predecessors and saying that, according to the graphic business, that they are the ones who caused the banking crisis that recently happened. In a 17-page speech, he was very clear that he needed to distance the current leadership of the central bank from those in previous times. He believes that their actions have actually caused them a lot, and says our detractors for impugning that the bank closures were to victimize wholly owned Ghanaians. He told a packed hall of bankers at the 2018 annual bankers dinner. And we inherited, a financial system which was under a considerable state of distress, with banks that were not in the best state of health. And he believes that if the right systems were put in place, all of this wouldn't have happened in the first place. Just that, some of the banks, he also finally signed off their authorization to go and operate. You remember?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he also takes small part of the blame for it.
Yeah, well, let's see. I don't think it's more about the person who takes the blame as it is about the people who are eventually prosecuted and are eventually found culpable. I mean, within these banks.
What we've been saying consistently.
Yes. So it's not about the former, just a simple opinion. It's not about the former governors or what it is. Those officials who superintended over these. Those officials who allowed Capital Bank to set up when they didn't have enough stated capital. Those officials who did not appoint supervisors for those banks which were receiving liquidity support. Those officials within the Bank of Ghana, whom Osei told us had been transferred. Remember, when the head of banking supervision came here,
he said that transfers have happened.
He said transfers have happened. Why are they being transferred and why are they not being sent home? I mean, how safe is our money if they are still around there in the system? Anyway, let's move on, guys, and go online. The online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank, in your best interest. GOIL, good energy. Download the Safe Doctor app now from Google Play. Safe Doctor, the future of better medical care. Now, the rewards are raining at Goil's Ifie promotions. Do you buy fuel as Goil? Hurry and do so, because in the month of November alone, 720 of our customers have received their ultimate rewards from your favorite CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year, Goil. Adepa Ofia Oje. Josh Cryon for Fanco has received 1,000 cedis worth of fuel on his Go card for the month of November and a weekend hotel stay for 2. Many others were rewarded with 1,000 cedis worth of fuel for accruing the highest points. So collect your scratch card anytime you buy Goil fuel, 80 cedis and above. Dial *161 *4645 hash and follow the steps. Your loyalty rewards also await you at the end of the month if you buy more fuel and accrue more points. This promo runs till January 2019. Goil, good energy. Goil, Yenara Yedia. Now, this festive season, Zenith Bank is offering you the opportunity to become part of its wonderful big family. Visit any Zenith Bank branch nationwide during the first 2 weeks in December and let our able team assist you choose from any array of products and services that definitely cater to your unique banking needs. So tell a friend to tell a friend. Whether you're an individual, an SME, or a corporate entity at Zenith Bank, there's something for everyone. Zenith Bank in your best interest. So let's begin the online review, guys, by saying a big congratulations to Joy News' Justice Bedu, who is winner of the 2018 Global Health Reporting Contest. Good morning, Justice. Well, it's not morning for you because you are in New York in the USA and you are picking the awards 2 years after Seth Kwame Boateng emerged a winner. We keep winning. Congratulations, Justice. Thanks for making us proud. ISE warns against excessive borrowing. Controversial calf blood sent to Accra for confirmatory test. And of course, we'll be having Hefra on the show to tell us exactly how safe the facilities we visit are. The BBC.com says Nigerian President Buhari denies death and body double rumors. We're going to go for the BBC News at 7 now. After this, stay with us.
This was Kwame's life before Interplast in Green.